All right. I think I'm live. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this live show. Welcome to the Skill Up Show. How are you doing today? It's another beautiful Monday afternoon. It's 1 p.m. and it's time for our Skill Up Your Preteen show. This is that show where we come and we talk about skills for your young children and your preteens. I always like to add that even if you have a child that is a teenager and they have certain gaps in you had certain gaps in your parenting or they had certain gaps in their learning, then the skill up show is still for you because there's something for everyone, even for you who is a parent of a teenager. My name is Maribel Chima, and today we're going to be talking about why we should collaborate or partner with other people to raise wholesome children. And who are these people we should actually be collaborating or partnering with if we want to raise children who are wholesome? Okay, so welcome to the show. Are you joining us right now? Have you joined us? If you have joined us, please let me see you in the comments and let me know where you are joining me from. If you are watching or joining us on YouTube, have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Yes, if you haven't, you are missing. We have loads of resources on our YouTube channel, and you don't want to miss that. You don't want to miss the resources. Apart from that, we have these sessions every week, and if you would just go ahead and subscribe and click on the notification button, it means that every time we go live, you get to know that we are live and you can be a part of the experience. If you are on Facebook, on our Facebook group, why don't you go ahead and tag a friend who needs to be here right now so that they can be a part of the show today? In the meantime, can you see me? Can you hear me? If I can get feedback in the comments, I would like that very much so that I know that I can shoot because I have people who can see and hear me so that I'm not going solo, right? Yes, yes, yes. So welcome to the Skill Up Show. Do I move on? Do I have company? Do I shoot? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Am I just speaking to myself? All right. If you can, let me know. And then where are you joining me from? Even if you're catching the replay, can you let us know where you are catching the replay from? All right, let's know where you are joining us from and if you're catching the replay. Do I have any comments here? Because I am not very sure about Facebook right now. Everything seems to be draggy. All right, so welcome. Let's talk about this. Let's move, let's move, let's move. So, yes, I wrote a post earlier on and I said that the wisdom in this, there's a wisdom in the saying that it takes a village to train a child. It still takes a village to train a child. And it is even more wisdom to recognize who should belong to that village. Okay, it takes wisdom and discernment as a parent to recognize who should belong to that village. I'm so sorry if you're joining me on Facebook. I know my system is a bit blurry. Sorry about that. We've been having this issue and no one has been able to help us sort this blurry issue, sorts it out once and for all. So we have this come up and clean and it's good. And after a while, it becomes blurry again. We're still trying to get a solution to that. All right. So sorry about that. So children do not just learn from one person. Okay. That's the truth about it. Our children learn from many people. They learn from different people. And that is because education does not begin in the classroom. Not at all. And education does not end in the classroom. Before the classroom, your children begin to learn. And even after the classroom, after a day in school, because of course, when we talk about education, we talk about learning, the first thing that comes to mind is the classroom. Oh, what school does your child go to? Okay, so that's why you see a lot of times when you are out and your children make an impression, okay, when you're out or when your children are doing stuff and they make an impression, the first question that a lot of people ask is, what school do they go to? Right? I get that question a lot of the times. I have friends who have children who speak well, or when your children just make any form of impression out there, the common question you have people ask is, what school do they go to? And that's because somewhere at the back of our minds, okay, on the average, is the fact that if a child is doing well or if a child is a certain way, it's because the school has taught the child well. But no, education does not begin in the school, and education does not end in school or in the classroom. That's why it is an absolute error for you as a parent to think that it is the sole responsibility of your school, of your child's school, to educate them. So that's why I get really upset when I hear parents say, oh, I can't teach my child, or I can't do this for my child, or why am I paying the school? If I'm going to pay this school and I'm going to have to do this, I'm going to have to help them with their projects or help them with their homework. Oh, why am I paying them then? Okay, we have all those hilarious comments. Okay, you see on social media how parents will be like, oh, after paying all the money and sending them to school, the teachers now send you to do the work and all of that. Okay, we make those comments because we don't understand. Okay, a lot of times, or we fail to understand, or we just want to crack jokes, right? We just want to crack jokes. That's why we make some of those comments, okay, saying it's the school that should do all of this. There is your responsibility as a parent, and that responsibility is huge. And that responsibility is one that none of us as a parent, you cannot shift to anybody. That is not just a responsibility because I am saying it, okay, as a teacher or as a coach. It's a responsibility that is written even in the scripture. Didn't the scripture say that? What it says, that we shall teach our children, okay, we shall teach them diligently, okay, to our children. We shall teach them at home, right? He said, teach to your children, and you shall talk to them when you sit in your house. You shall talk to them when you walk on the way, and you shall talk to them when you lie down and when you rise up. That's what the scripture says in Deuteronomy, isn't it? So meaning it is your job as a parent to teach your child. You shall teach your children when you sit in your house. So when you are in your house with your children, you are teaching them. It says you shall teach your children when you walk on the way. When you are out with your children walking on the way and you see learning opportunities, you shall teach your children. It says you shall teach your children when you lie down. When you lie down, whether your children lie with you or when you lie down, you shall teach your children. Okay, and you shall teach your children when you rise up. So you are teaching your children. So what does it say? It's saying to us in retrospect that we are called to use every teachable opportunity, okay, to teach our children. We are called to teach our children at all times. We are called to teach our children using every opportunity that is possible. So yes, parents, your role, your first role, or one of your most important role as a parent is the role of a teacher. You are a teacher. Parenting is teaching. Yes, that's one of your role. I wrote today in a post that I shared earlier on today, and I said that it is your role to teach, and that is because discipline in its own, it's actually teaching. Okay, what we call discipline as parents is actually teaching. So you teaching your child to have self-control, okay, you teaching your child to have self-control, you teaching your child, all of those habits, all of this is discipline, and discipline is teaching. So if you can look at it this way, okay, if you can look at it this way, that discipline is teaching your children all of those things about your God, teaching your children about your culture, teaching your children about all of these things that they will need, the skills that they will need to know what's happening around them, understand their world, and navigate this world. All of it is teaching, okay? And a lot of times the reason why we get we object, or we make all those comments about you not being able to teach your children. The reason we do it is because when we talk about teaching, what we're looking at is methodology and probably concepts. We're thinking of, how do I teach them the concept of multiplication and all of that. You are myopic about your understanding of what teaching your child is. That's why you object to these things. What's that? Sorry about this. So it's because usually you are not this from a holistic point. That's why you keep thinking that when they say teach, it simply means that you're teaching your children chemistry and physics. No, it is much more than that. And it begins right from when the child is in the womb. From the day your child is born, that's when your job as a teacher begins. Okay, the day your child is born is the day your job as a teacher begins. All right, so if you are here with me, please let me see you in the comments. Let me know that you have joined me, and let me know if you can hear me and see me and you are following. All right. So we have established the fact that it is your job as a parent, right? You are your child's first teacher, and one of your role, or one of your biggest role as a parent, is that of a teacher. Now we have established this, we know this. Now, what we are also saying, as much as this is known and this is established, okay, it is wisdom to know that you are not enough. Okay, it is wisdom to know that if you want to raise a child who is wholesome, if you want to raise a child, right, who is wholesome, a child who is wholesome, that's the word. If you want to raise a wholesome child, a total child, then you need people that will collaborate with you, or people that will partner with you for this to happen. Okay, why do we need people to collaborate with us? Why do we need people to partner with us to raise our children? Why do we need other people to be a part of this journey for us to raise wholesome children? I'll tell you, one of the reasons why you need people to be with you on this journey is because as a person, as an individual, you will not always be there in the life of your child, right? You will not always be there in the life of your child. We all need a support system. We all need support systems. At some point, you would go to work. At some point, you will be away. At some point, you will have to attend to other things. At some point, you will need to do something different, or something other than just raising or being with your children. Now, in those times, who would you, I mean, in those times, what happens to your child if you choose to be the only one that is raising your child? Now, don't get it twisted. Don't make the mistake. We have said the biggest role, okay, in the raising of your child is yours. Okay, you have the biggest share, you have the biggest role, and your role cannot be replaced by other people. However, there are smaller roles that you need in the life, I mean, to be played in the life of your children, and you will need partners and you will need collaborators for this to happen. Okay, very, very key. When they are young, you're going to need other people to stand in the gap for you at times where you have to attend to other things, isn't it? Right, you need the people. There are things in your children's life, interests that are, okay, that you may not be able to give them the best. Oh gosh, I'm not. Okay, let me just say this. All right, so there are interests that your children will have that you will need, your children will have, that you will need other people other than yourself to give them the level of expertise that you need if you want to raise children who would become grounded and experts in the areas of their interest. So at this point, you will need these people as collaborators. Okay, so we're going to come down to the list of, we're going to come down to the list of some people, okay, that you would need, and then we pay attention to those people so that we can get this kind of people to collaborate with or to partner with in raising our children. But yes, our children will need experts in their life at some point to help them reach their full potential in the areas of their interest. In that case, you would need, someone to partner with or someone to collaborate with. Number three, there are times in your children's life where your influence will begin to dwindle, or your influence will begin to reduce in their lives. As your children grow into adolescence, okay, there are other people who will be influencing them. There are other people that naturally would have a bigger, would influence your children more. And it has nothing to do with the fact that you are a bad parent or anything like that. It's just nature, it's just natural that a time will come in their life where certain people will play a role in their life that maybe, there's significance at that time. You will continue to be important in the life of your children, but your influence may actually reduce at that point. Now, these people are people that you want to look out for and partner with or collaborate with if you want to raise a child who is wholesome, because even this time in their life, those times in their lives where these people become relevant in their life, it's still part of their lives, and there are so many mistakes or so many great things that could happen in the life of your child, even at that season or during the season of their life where you may not be that influential. So yes, you need collaborators. You need people. Number 4, you need people who would reinforce, or people who will reconfirm. All right, people who will confirm some of the things that you have taught your children. Sometimes all we need is a second voice saying the same thing that we have been saying for our children to say, oh, now I get it. Yes. Okay. Sometimes that's all you need. For instance, our son, this summer holiday, we decided that the children would do a lot of things outside. Okay, we wanted them to learn on the streets, we wanted them to learn outside our home, we wanted them to do more, okay, during the summer holiday than they do ordinarily outside. And so we decided that our son was going to go to boot camps. Okay, not just one but 2 boot camps. All right, now he went for the first boot camp, which was for boys only. Amazing experience he had there. Okay, came back. I could see, all right, I could see, some changes. I could see some things in his life when he came back. And then he went for the second boot camp and then came back. And I'm telling you, the kind of changes that I can see, okay, or the things that I can see in his life from this 10 days experience going to these 2 different camps. Okay, he confirmed to me when we were talking, confirmed to us that there's actually nothing new, okay, nothing really new that he learns in the camp per se, but it just made a lot of sense. All I kept on hearing was, oh, mommy, that thing, okay, so the gist has been on since he came back from camp. Okay, from nowhere he would just say, oh, mommy, now I understand what you were talking about, when you talked about creating a tribe. Okay, when you talked about meeting your kind, when you talked about the fact that there's someone out there that is your kind, there are people out there that are like you. So when you meet people who think you are weird, or when you meet people who do not align to the things that you believe, or the things that you stand for, don't ever think of yourself as a weirdo. Don't ever think of yourself as someone with a standard that is too high. It just simply means that you have not met your type. So he was like, now I understand what you mean, okay, when you said things like that, because I can see it for sure that there is absolutely nothing wrong with me or my standards and all of that. You hear things like that, or you hear things like, oh, mom, and I understand, okay, what you mean when you said, okay, when we're talking about the scripture that said some things need fasting. Okay, some things need not just prayers but fasting. Okay, so basically you need people that will reinforce, or people that will reconfirm, okay, the things that you have said to your children. And you will be amazed, okay, that you'll be amazed that it's not as if your child was not listening to you. No, it's not as if the child was not listening to you. It's just a thing about, when you hear the same thing that you've heard from one person, you hear it from another person, it makes you feel like it's more authentic, right? It makes you feel like it's more authentic. It's like going abroad or going to, it's like a young person finding himself in a new country altogether, in a new place, probably going to school or something like that. And he's feeling like, oh, I'm alone. And then he walks into a train station or into a train or walks into a bus, and the next thing he hears someone next to him, right, speaking his dialect or his language. It's like there's something in you that lives like, oh, okay, I'm not alone. I'm not, I'm not wrong being here. There are people, I mean, whatever it is that I'm going through or whatever it is that I feel, being away from home is not peculiar to me. Oh, this person. There's a chance that you would connect with that person, or you would want to turn and introduce yourself to that person, because it just feels like, oh, finally there's someone who understands, or finally this makes more sense. All right. So it's very, very important that we know this. So you need collaborators and you need partners to confirm some of the things that you have said to your children. All right. Basically, you need these people to confirm some of the things that you've said to your children that probably have not hit home yet. Okay. And you realize the fact that you have people doing this with you. Okay. Helps it hit home. And then finally, I always give 5. Whatever I do in the skill up show, I give 5. And that's because in the skill up show, we don't have that much time. The skill up show is actually a 40-minute show, 30 to 45 minutes show. Okay. And what we do in the skill up show is we share tips with you. Okay. We share tips with you on certain skills that you can just take and apply in your parenting. When you do that, when you take it and apply in your parenting, you will begin to see changes in your parenting if you can stay there and be consistent for a whole week. Okay, while you are at it, you will realize that there is so much more that you can do in that area. And that's where we say to you, look for help, or get the help, or get into systems, or get your children into systems that can help you, okay, to loud whatever skill that you have, okay, whatever skill or whatever knowledge or information that you have gathered. All right, there is a place of consistency and constant practice. Okay, the same thing, right? There's a place of constant practice or consistency for every skill or every habit, whatever it is that you want your children to internalize. And so we have systems in place, we have programs in place that will help you with this. One of the programs that we have is the Mastermind Circle. The Mastermind Circle is a program for children. Yes, for children. All right, between the ages of 6 and 14. And what we do at the Mastermind Circle is help your children begin the journey of consolidation. Yes, we help your children begin to self-direct, begin to hone their leadership skills. We take all of the things that your children have learned. Your children take all the things they've learned from you, from everywhere, from your collaborators and your partners, and we help them begin to see themselves as giants, begin to see themselves as champions, begin to see themselves as the number one people in their lives. That way, they're able to take all that they've learned and begin to apply these things in their life. We help your children move their motivation from external or extrinsic to internal or intrinsic motivation. Before you know, in a few weeks, months after your children get into the Mastermind Circle, you would see your 8-year-old beginning to initiate things for themselves. They will initiate tasks in their lives that will help make them better people. They will initiate tasks in their lives that will help them solve problems in their environment or in their community, in your home. Your children will initiate tasks in their life that will benefit them. Your children begin to understand the place of personal development. Yes, that's early. So it's such an amazing experience and an amazing place for any child to be. All right. So now, when you come to this show, you learn from here. And then you see that your children are making progress when you introduce this in your home. And you need people to collaborate with you to drive this home and for your children to internalize this. Then you reach out to us and get them into the Mastermind Circle. So that is one example. For you as a parent, there are platforms, right? There are platforms and there are accountability groups that you can get into when you come in here and you learn from what we're teaching. We will say to you, there is much more to this, and we can introduce you to platforms where you can walk your journey also, so that everybody is walking their journey. You are walking your journey, your child is walking their journey, and these things are very important, that everybody is putting in the work, everybody is making the effort, and you realize that your children are able to own their journey and begin to walk that journey early in life. And this is what it takes to be responsible. This is what it takes to engage in productive things. This is what it takes, right? This is what it takes for your children to be self-sufficient. This is what it takes for your children to be self-aware. It is what it takes for your children to begin to live a life that is driven by purpose. Okay, and this is what we want to achieve with them when you bring them to us in the mastermind circle. Okay, in the mastermind circle, by virtue of the fact that you have your child with us, means that we also get to work with you. Okay, we also get to work with you, partially, just because you have your children with us. All right. So, but then you will still need your own accountability, and we can help you, okay, get into systems where you can get real accountability for you, while we give your children 100% accountability. Very, very important. All right. So let's jump into who are the people that we can collaborate with. Okay. Who are the people that are important, that we partner with, that we collaborate with, if we want to raise children who are wholesome. I'm not sure what is happening with this Facebook. What's going on? All right, just a second. Oh, I actually have some people here I didn't even know. All right, sorry, good night. I didn't see your comments earlier on. Thank you for joining. I can see you, I can hear you. I didn't even see that. All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mali or Joe. How are you doing? All right, so we need all those people, very, very key, that we recognize who they are and all that. So number one, the first collaborator and partner that you need to raise children who are wholesome is your spouse or your partner. Okay, very, very key. Okay, very, very key. I know a lot of times when we with the parents that we work with, you hear things like, oh, my husband does not believe in all that I do, my husband is not on the same page with me, and all of that. Or my wife. Okay, very few times do we hear my wife, most times it's my husband. All right. The truth about it is, yes, these things happen. We have a lot of cases like this where a spouse is not, in line or in sync with you when it comes to your parenting and the style of parenting. But what I say to a lot of parents, okay, or mothers, when they say this, when they come to me and say this, is I say to them, you know something? What is important is that you focus on the journey. Focus on the journey and focus on making sure that your children get all that they need. While you are at it, it's important that you seek for ways to bring your spouse in, okay, without dragging them, without getting aggressive, without becoming their coaches, without rubbing, all the knowledge and all that you think the knowledge that you have on their faces. So what you want to do is, in subtle ways, see how you can bring them in subtle ways. Okay, it could be simple things like, oh, I'm not very sure about this. Would you like to take it to daddy and ask him if daddy can help you with it? It could be subtle things like that. Okay, some things as simple as that. Okay. It could be things like, hey, sweetie, would you like to explain to maybe at dinner table, or when you are eating together, or when you're driving in the car together, okay, you decide to teach your children, okay, something. And when we talk about this learning and teaching and, education and all of that, mind you, we're not just talking about math, English, math, physics, geography, and all of that. We're talking about everything. Remember, we're talking about raising children who are wholesome. So we're looking at a holistic approach, okay? Holistic approach to this. And there are so many things that your spouse, be it the man or the woman, okay, knows about or can contribute, okay, into the life of your children. It could simply be something that has to do with the work that they do, with their jobs or their businesses. There is no knowledge that is useless. Okay. And as parents, it's important that you understand that it's your it's your duty to educate your children beyond boundaries. There should be no limits to how much education you can give your children. There should be no limits to how you want to, how much you can stretch the knowledge base of your child. So if your husband is not talking about discipline, and it's not talking, is not ready to talk about discipline or ready to talk about emotional intelligence and all of that, there are other areas that he would like to talk about. Okay, so for instance, you can send the children, you can come up with conversations that have to do with something that your husband is knowledgeable in. Okay, for instance, something that has to do with their jobs. I remember when I started my journey. Okay, my husband, I've said this over and over again, it took a long while before my husband and I became on the same page, okay, the way we are today. Okay, at the initial stage, he wasn't, our discipline methods were totally different. Our mindset when it came to, remember that I didn't always have, the mindset or the discipline strategy that I have today. Okay, today, what I have today is what I learned, right? After revisiting my own trauma and understanding the kind of children that I wanted us to raise, and then gradually trying to make him see, okay, where I thought we should be going. Now, it didn't happen automatically that he could see this, right? Yes. He didn't even have a problem with where we were going. Most of the problem was more like the method that you're using to go about this. Can you tell me that children are misbehaving and all you want to do is sit down there and say, oh, would you like to think about, just so I know. So I understand what parents say when they say these things. Oh, he's not on the same page. He doesn't believe in this, doesn't believe in that. He feels you should. So what you do is, why don't you focus on the areas that your husband, okay, will likely, teach the children without even realizing or without even thinking twice about it. So what I used to do back then is Daddy would take my son, was just our son at the time, so he would take him to school. Okay, so what I started doing with our son is I started getting him interested in the things around him. So we're driving and I would point at the things around his environment. Okay, for instance, I would point. So there was a day we're driving and I was like, ooh, just look at that. What do you know that is? And he looked up and he was like trying to look for the right word for what I was showing him, and I was like, a crane. Okay, and I was like, yes, a crane and all of that. And I'm like, Daddy knows a lot about cranes because Daddy's an architect. Okay, you want to ask Daddy about it, all right, he'll tell you all about it, and that's it. So the next time he was with his father, they are children you can trust, you can bank on children, right, to finish the job that you started. So before you know it, he was always crane, and then his father would talk to him about building structures and all of that. And that became, a source of conversation for them. That became a source for learning for them, okay, for his father to teach him. They moved from cranes and then went on to TV. To cars. I didn't even contribute, in the area of the car thing, because my husband will watch Top Gear at home, and because he was always watching Top Gear, it's a program, some Jeremy guy, about car engines and all of those things, everything about cars, their models and all of that. Okay, so of course, as a little boy, our son will be, playing around in the living room while Dad was watching, and somehow he picked that interest. So somehow that was something. They started talking about cars, okay, and that was one of the first areas that our son had an interest in cars. By the time our son was 3, 4, you would drive past and you would say, oh, that's a BMW. You pass and you'd be like, that's a book. As in, he knew all the logos of cars. Yes, he knew the logos of cars, just because he had an interest in it. And whatever you have an interest in would actually grow. Okay, another area that I pushed us to have conversations without telling everybody, okay, we have to have conversations around it. That's why as a parent, as a mother, you need to be strategic, okay? You need to be intentional. It's your intentionality that will make these things happen without you having to break your head or you having to lose your peace, okay? So my husband loved loves football, and then I love football also. And so it was only natural that I used that as a basis for him to have conversations, or to have to teach, or have to, just conversations and teach, our son basically. All right. So of course we would talk. So I used to be an Arsenal fan with my husband. At some point, I just said, this is not going to work. We need to be hitting our heads, right? For this whole conversation to happen, to include our son and all of that. And so I moved, Sha. It's not just because of that. I got tired of us now. So I moved, right, to City. So I became a Man City fan. And then my my husband continued being an Arsenal fan and all that. So by the time our son was growing, it was always football. He would see us, football and all of that. And then he started getting into the football conversations and all of that. And at some point, he decided to be an Arsenal fan first, moved from being an Arsenal fan to being United fan. Okay, which one did he go to first? He's faithful, from United to Chelsea or something like that. Now that became a basis for conversations for them. Okay, and so he learned a lot from his father, just talking about football and all of that. So you need to be strategic about these things. Gradually you will see things with you focusing on the children. And then see, I've moved from what was supposed to be talking about. I was supposed to be talking about your husband or your spouse being a collaborator, right? So it's still the same thing. All right, so I am saying this, and I'm talking about how you can bring your spouse in, because it is very important that you are partnering or you are collaborating to raise your children. So whatever strategy or whatever you need to do, or whatever you need to apply to make this happen, please do make it happen. That's what I'm trying to say. It may take 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 8 years. Just keep trying, because it's important that they are a part of, a part of this learning process for you to raise children who are wholesome. All right. The next group of people, or the next people that you need to partner with or collaborate with to raise wholesome children are your other children. Yes, their siblings. Okay, so when you have younger children, it's important that you bring their older siblings into your process, okay, and into what you are doing to raise your younger children. Very, very key. It's amazing. We don't understand how deep or how huge this one can be. But if you can do a good job on your first child, I promise you, okay, raising your second child will be a walk in the park. Because children learn, of course, we know that children learn, right, from what is modeled to them. And there is something about learning from someone who is closer to them. I mean, their age-wise now. Okay, it's closer to learn from this demographic. I mean, I don't know, but it's just easier for them to learn from people that are like them. I think that's why peer pressure is huge, because it's very easy to learn from someone who is about your peer, about your age, someone you can see. And at that stage, your children actually see themselves as peers, right? You have a child that is 1 year, 2 years, 4 years older. They still see themselves. The chances that they will learn from their siblings is greater than the chances that they will learn from you. Okay, do you understand? They will pick habits more. That's what I'm trying to say. They will pick habits. They will pick mannerism, right? They will speak language from their siblings faster than they will pick from you. And then remember, they are most likely going to be with their siblings more than you are available. So it's very important that you harness or you leverage on that relationship between the siblings to help to partner with your older children, right, to support their younger siblings. Very important, these ones, okay? The third one are the people that we are very used to, all right? They are teachers. Of course, you cannot raise a wholesome child today. You're a parent that sends a child to regular school, traditional school. Then you need their teachers as collaborators. You need the schools as collaborators. And of course, a lot of us want to say, oh, of course, that's a given. We do it already. But some of us actually have this opportunity and we do not leverage it. We do not harness it to the best of, pretend, we don't suck the best out of the relationship, okay, that our children have with their teachers or with their school. And that's because we don't know how to foster effective relationships between, ourselves and the people who teach our children. It's very important. I had a class 2 weeks ago, I think. I don't know whether it was here on Instagram, where I talked about how you can connect with your child's teachers. It was a whole class. Okay, I think you should go and look for it on our YouTube channel. Oh, sorry. It says our YouTube, we're experiencing connection issues. I don't know. All right. Sorry. All right, Facebook. I hope you can still see me if you're on Facebook. All right, so I shared about that. You may want to look for it on our YouTube channel. You will get it right there. Okay, it's very important that you foster that relationship. And I have my strategy, how I go about it. I talked about how the week before we get back to school. Okay, that week that the school begins to send correspondence about what's going to happen in the school term and all of that. Usually, if your school is like my school, they will send you information about who your child's teacher is and all of that. So I make it a point to either visit school before, or I do an email to the teacher before our children meet the teachers, basically. So I would do an email, or when I go to school to pick uniforms or things like that, I will ask to meet the teacher. So what I've done is I will meet the teacher before they get into the whole hectic, school routine and all of that. I meet them when they are in their most relaxed and vulnerable stage, and I establish a relationship. I do not have a single person that has taught my child that I'm not cordial with. Okay, I will break the ice even before you meet the child. Oh, we meet you, and then I go ahead and make you understand that we're here for you. If you need suggestions, if you need what do you call it now? If you need suggestions, you need volunteering, whatever it is that you are doing that you need, I make it open. Make it known that as a family we are here, and that service is one of our biggest core value. So the school knows that they can call on us at any point. Service is one of our core value, and as far as our children are in that school, we are up for it. So at any time, call us, we will show up. That's it. Okay, if you are in the place. So that's very important that you do that. Of course, you want to ask all the right questions too, whether it's a new school or it's an old school that the children have been. You're meeting this teacher for the first time. So you want to ask them relevant questions. Okay, find out from the teacher. Okay, find out from the teacher. What are the teacher's vision for the year? What are the teacher's beliefs when it comes to punishment, discipline, just ask those questions in like subtle ways and all of that, so that you understand who you are dealing with. Ask a few questions here and there. Make sure you stay in that conversation for a bit, so that you have a little insight into the person that is going to have your child's ears and probably your child's heart for the year. It's a very important part. These people are very important collaborators or partners in the life of your child for a whole year. I remember when I used to be active in the classroom. Okay, I'm an educator, you all know that. Okay, I remember when I was active in the classroom, I had this child that was a challenge at the time. All right, the parent was a challenge at the time. Everybody in the school, everybody in the school just knew that this parent, every time you have to teach the child, the parent can be a handful, and all of that. And at some point, some things came up, and my boss called me one of those days, and when I go into her room, she said to me, Miss Margaret, I want to appeal to you, and I want to plead with you that you try as much as possible. Use everything in you, every patience, every iota of patience and whatever that is within you, to support this child and be there for this child for this school year. Okay, that's what she said. We can hear you. Thank you, Afolabi. All right, she was like, use everything within you to support this child for this year. Guess what? You are going to have this child for just 1 year. When you see the parent is going to have this child for the rest of their life. So it wasn't like something that was out of the blue, but it actually hit me, because that's the truth about it. All right. A teacher would have your child for 1 year, and 1 year is enough time for the teacher to pass an ideology, for the teacher to pass a mindset, or sell, terrible language or whatever it is to your child. So you want to know who your child is going to be with, especially their homeroom teacher. You want to know who your child is going to be with, who is going to have your child's attention, your child's ears, your child's heart for a whole year. You want to pay attention to this person, and you want to foster a good relationship with this person. I talked in that session that I also help our children break the ice with their teacher, and I allow them have that first meeting even before they meet the teacher, because connection is very important in education. We are influenced by the people that we connect with. So if your child is going to be working with this person, or this person is going to be working with your child for an entire year, it's important that your child connects with the teacher, and you being able to foster that connection is something that if you can do, go ahead and do it. So what I do with the children is I have them introduce themselves to their teachers even before they meet them. So school resumes next week, on Monday, on the 11th for us, right? So what we're going to do now, part of what we'll be doing for week 8. Okay, I hope you've been following our holiday series. I have been sharing what my children have been doing the entire holiday. Okay, every week I've been sharing it on Facebook. Okay, I've been sharing this on Facebook and on Instagram. Okay, if you've not been following, I think you should go and check it out. Okay, you may just pick a thing or two from it, and and all of that. We try to make the summer holiday especially, and every holiday, as a matter of fact, we try to make it as engaging, educative, and fun as possible. Okay, so the goal is fun, engaging, and of course productive, rather. Okay, so that's it. So we've been sharing that. So for week 8, this is week 8 for us. We have what we're doing. This is the week that we'll see the doctors, we'll go to the dentist, we'll see the pediatrician, we'll go to the dentist, we'll go to the eye clinic this week. We're going to be hanging out with our friends also this week. Okay, camp is over. We had 2 weeks of camp. Camp is over. We're going to be hanging out with our friends, and we're going to go back to tennis courts from this week, basically. So the week is full. Next week, we're going to start preparing to go back to school. So we're going to be doing a bit of shopping, back to school shopping. And then, of course, we're going to be writing. So I make the children write to their new teacher. So before you meet the kids, or before the kids meet their teachers, they would have written to their teachers. What do they write in that letter? Basically, hi, I remember the letter my daughter wrote to her teacher when she was 5. Okay, sorry, when she was going back to school. I had homeschooled her for 2 years, okay, between when she was 4 and 5. By the time she was 6 and she was going back to school, I thought I needed the teacher to understand her, okay, and all of that. So she had to write a letter to her teacher. Even my heart was warm when I read that letter. I can't remember the whole of it, but I can remember her writing to the teacher and saying to the teacher, I love nature, and she said, I love nature, and I like to learn and take breaks. She said that to her teacher. I like to learn and take breaks. And then she said, I do not like to write, but I write because I have to write anyway. I can remember something like that. All right. So basically, you see what this would do to this teacher. This teacher gets this letter, right? She's going to open it, and first of all, she will know the name of this child, right? She will know the name of this child, and the name of this child will sink more than the name of any other average child in the class. It's a given. It's not favoritism. It is what it is. Okay, so that name will sink first of all, and then at some point, reading this from a 5 or a 6-year-old will make her smile. Okay, now it already gives her an idea of who this learner is, right? It already gives her an idea of who my daughter is as a learner. So she knows this person, somehow, even without meeting her and all of that. I think she shared a couple of, childlike kind of things. She shared a couple of childlike things right there in that letter also. So guess what happens when that child walks into the classroom? She walks into the classroom and she's like, good afternoon, good morning, Miss Benita, my name is Ada. This is the reaction that the teacher that you will get from the teacher. Oh, you understand? Oh, you are Ada? So you see how you have broken the ice, right? You give the teacher a chance to be extra nice or sweet to this child, because it's not just coming from the usual, oh, welcome to my class, oh, it's good to have you. This time there is actually a connection that comes from a place of, oh, I know you, we've connected, somehow. And then for the child, this is more important for the child, because there is something about the first day. There's something about that reception that the child gets on the first day. So very, very key. So you see how I have stayed in here and I have I've talked a lot on this point, because it's very important. If you're a parent, that your children go to traditional schools or regular school, very key that you collaborate with the school. All right, very key that you look for opportunity to volunteer in school. If your school has got a parent teacher forum or something like that, something that needs parents to participate and be a part of, please, by all means, be a part of it this year. Okay, it will help, in that collaboration and that relationship. Now, the last one, there's another thing. When you come across like this to a teacher, I promise you, teachers know the children that they cannot joke with, and it's not favoritism. When the teachers understand that you are a present parent, I'm telling you, they cross their T's and dot their I's when they are dealing with you or dealing with, and it has nothing to do with being partial or whatever. It's just what it is. Okay, it's just what it is. All right. So you want to establish the fact that, okay, we're here, we're present, we know what we're doing. Okay, we will scrutinize, we will look closely. So hello. So everybody gets it right from the beginning. You're fostering collaboration with this group of people. The other people, very important, of course, are their religious, your religious leaders, or the pastors, the imam, the malam, the people who work with your children. Your child's spiritual nourishment is very key. Okay, and as much as you are, of course, the first place your children should learn about your beliefs and your faith is at home. Please teach your children, ground your children in your beliefs, in your faith. Make sure that whatever it is, you are not passing down your opinions to your children. When you pass down your opinions, when your children grow older, they will form their own opinions, or they will learn other things that are deeper, or other things that are different from your opinion. And it's very easy to shove what you are saying down the toilet. Okay, it's very easy to just flush it away because you were focused on your opinion, because at every point you wanted to sell what it is, your own motives, right? You always had a motive. Okay, you want a child that doesn't do this, and you begin to preach the Bible, or you begin to pick from your opinion. So when you teach your children from the place of fact. Teach your children from principles. Don't begin to quote and create new scriptures or new quotes that will buttress your points more. Okay, as far as it's religious matter you're talking about, okay, as far as it's faith matters you're talking about, make sure that it is a lot of facts, a lot of principles. Okay, do more of principles. The principles, the fact they do not lie, they would remain. It's a constant. Principles are a constant. There is seed time and there is harvest time. If you like, turn your head upside down or front or back, there is always going to be seed time and harvest time. What you sow is what it is that you will reap. You cannot sow bamboo and come and pick out coconut now. Okay, so it is what it is. Base your knowledge or the information that you're passing down to your children on facts and on principles. Very, very key that you do this. Okay, let them see you and let them learn of your God from the life that you live. Okay, that is more That's more evidence, or that's more believable than any word that you will be saying or any opinion that you will be making, okay, with your mouth. All right, very, very key. All right, but of course, you want to also point them to these religious leaders that will confirm some of the things that you have said to your children. That is part of what the camps that my son went to did for him. He got there because these were also religious camps. So of course he was able to have, coming from where he's coming from, and some of the things that I have shared with him that he has seen in me that is not common, okay, where we worship and all of that. Now going out there and seeing, it just made more sense to him. Of course, you would always come back and put perspective to all of these when they get back home. But it's very important that you know that these people can be helpful and these people can be collaborators in this. Okay, the second to the last group of people are their peers. Oh my goodness, these ones will have influence on your children so much at the point your children become adolescents and they begin to, transition from those your little babies who needed you so well, who depended on you. The child begins to get in tune with his individuality. The child begins to see himself as an autonomy. Okay, the child begins to see himself as a whole human being that can make decisions and can make choices for himself. At this point, you will realize that their peers and what their peers think, what their peers believe is very important to the children at this stage. So what do you do as a parent? What have you been doing? What did you do when they were young children? What did you do when they were preteens? What are you doing at this stage? What platforms, what environment, what villages, when I say village, I mean what tribe? Where are you planting your child today? What kind of conversations are your children having today? Who are they listening to today? What kind of pairs are they? What kind of relationships, okay, or what kind of tribes are they building today? If you can pay attention, you can't choose their friends, of course, but you can choose the environment, okay? So put them in an environment where you have children like them, or children who share the same values, children who share the same beliefs and all of that, children who share the same mindset when it comes to abundance, mindset when it comes to work, mindset when it comes to their academics and all of that. And this is what we offer at the Mastermind Circle. Okay, the Mastermind Circle is a platform where we have children who share the same belief system, share the same ideologies, share the same mindset, children that were able to prune, children that were able to, raise in a certain way, okay, willingly, basically, no dragging, no pushing. We're just able to bring them and reason with them, point them to the things that are necessary and important. And before you know it, because of the approach that we use, the children begin to believe and trust in the system. And you have then, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 of them in that platform. I promise you, your children will make social connections. They will bond with certain friends. They will bond with certain people. That's why we have the small pair groups. Okay, your children will certainly find people that they will connect with. And that way, you are already building the right kind of pairs. So when the peer pressure begins to mount, then you are sure of the people that your children are turning to influence them, because that time will come where your influence will be less and the influence of their peers will increase in their lives. The last group of people, very, very important, are mentors. Oh my goodness, you cannot, if you have children and your children are 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and older, and they do not have other adults other than you that they can look up to, that can inspire them, that have their ears, that have their hearts. Okay, people who do not have the blurry line that we have as parents. As parents, there's no how you would do it. The lines are blurry when it comes to your children because, hey, parenting, you being their parents and all of that comes in. There are times that you are not objective in your views. There are times that you are not objective in your expectations because, hey, you are their parents. So there are certain things that your children will say to you or tell you that they've done or that they've been through that, man, as hard as it is for you to keep a straight face and act like, oh, okay, just keep talking. It's difficult, okay, because there are blurry lines in there. You are their parents, okay, but you can have their mentors, and the mentors do not have that personal, as much as they love your children, they are not their parents. So there is that part that is removed, and so can help the mentor continue to be objective. So there is nothing that your child can have to say. There's no mistake that they probably have made that they need someone to fall back to or support, that if you have helped them foster a good relationship with these mentors by ensuring that you introduce mentorship into their lives early. The mistake we make is we don't do these things, and then all of a sudden your child is 20 and you're beginning to have issues. The child is 20 and you don't have the connection between you is not there. The child is going through one challenge or the other, and then the next thing you're getting them a mentor. The child is already biased, or the child is already on the defensive. The child is already thinking you want to introduce something to control them a little more. So the child is never relaxed with that mentor completely. It takes much more for the child to trust a mentor. But if mentorship is something that you introduce in the life of the child as early as possible, our son had his first mentor when he was 7. Yes, he had his first mentor. There was no challenge, there were no troubles, nothing. We just thought, something, the other adults who are grounded, in the areas of your interest, and they can help you. Why don't you talk to them? And then he begins to talk to this person, and then we're there listening to him talk to another adult comfortably and all of that. So today, the children do not have problems talking to adults because they've been introduced to talking to adults early in their lives. And so it's very easy for my son who is 14 today to trust a mentor because he's been having mentors since he was 7. So he's had a mentor. He's had mentors for 6, almost 7 years of his life. So yes, he understands the place of mentorship. He understands the need of a mentor in his life, and he understands all of that. So the day will come where your children will feel this one is not for the ears of my parents. Now you are sure of who they will turn to. Okay, because the truth is, if they're not talking to you, they're talking to someone. If they're not listening to you, they're listening to someone. If they're not sharing with you, they're sharing with someone. And you never know who that someone is. That someone could be the person that will give them or proffer solutions that will lead them to more dangerous things, or that will lead them to lose their lives or lose something. You just never know. So it's one of those things you don't want to wing, okay? It's one of those things you don't want to wing. That's why you need to introduce mentorship in the life of your children as early as possible, so that your children begin to learn to trust other people, okay, who are collaborators with you. They don't even necessarily need to know how much feedback you get from these mentors. Okay, they don't need to know. Okay, just give them the mentor and look the other way, even because you know that these people share your values, these people share your mind, your visions and all of that, and these people are working for your good. These people are working with your child for your good, and so you can be rest assured that your children are in good hands. Of course, that is why it's important that you use knowledge and discernment when you pick or when you decide on who you want to collaborate with you to raise your children. But I promise you, it is important that as a parent, you understand that you're your child's first teacher and your child's most important teacher. That you understand that teaching your child is something that happens before they see a classroom for the first time. So you start teaching your children right from when they're in the womb, or you start teaching your children from the day that they are born. And that lesson, these lessons, this teaching, they are not what you do once in a while. It is what the Bible says you should do. Okay, the scripture says you should do when you are sitting in your house, when you walk on the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. This is how the scripture prescribes that you should train your children. This is how it prescribes it. It says you should train them in the way that they should go. Train them in the way that they should go when you lie down, when you sit with them in the house, when you walk with them on the way, when you wake up. So the scripture is saying that you need to be having conversations. You need to be teaching. You need to be present. So, dear parents, every time you open your mouth and you say those work things, me, I don't have time. I am too busy. I bring in this teacher, and that teacher because I don't have time. Know that it is not just you being irresponsible. It is also you not being scriptural, or you not actually following what it is that you have been called to do. Now, am I saying you should drop your jobs? Am I saying you shouldn't do this? What I'm saying is, how much time do you have? How much time do you have? I was speaking with the parents yesterday and I asked her, how much time do you have? Have you got 2 hours? Have you got 1 hour? Have you even got 30 minutes? How do you make those 30 minutes count? And then 30 minutes that you come in, get some rest, and then get up and say to the kids, oh, how are you? And then you sit down, leave your phone, leave everything, and give them 30 minutes of content that has been planned, that has been created, has been curated as a curriculum, okay, to ensure that every time you are with your children counts. We can help you with this. That is why we have put together a workshop that comes up in September. We call that workshop the Empower Your Child to Excel in School and Beyond workshop. That workshop is so affordable. It is only $3,999. Why don't you go ahead and key in and register for that workshop? We will help you sit to plan that curriculum that you can use to be available to your children at the time that you can be available. Okay, we understand that everything is calling for attention. I mean, life is hard. I mean, life is not hard. Life demands a lot. Okay, we have all these demands, and then we have to make all the ends tie together and meet and all of that. All of these are valid, but our children are important, and we cannot do every other thing at the expense of our children. So how much time are you deciding to dedicate, to support your children? Then make it count, and we can help you do this. Okay, now we can also help point you to your collaborators, and then you would have to use the template, the curriculum that you have, okay, and use that in your partnership and collaboration with the people that you'll be collaborating with. So don't just be that parent who picks their bag, hangs it in the morning and goes away because you have scattered money all around, paid all the various people. You don't know what they are doing. You don't know how they are doing it. You don't know from the source where they are doing it. You are just content with the fact that you have paid the money. So let whatever they have to dish out to your children, let them dish out to your children. You have paid the money. No, you will have to be involved. You have to know. You will have to tailor what it is that you want, and you will be the one to say to them, this. You will hand that curriculum to them. That way, then we know that you understand your role as a parent. Thank you very much for being here with me today. I hope you got value from this session. I know you got value from this. Network, is it? All right. If you would like to be a part of the workshop, okay, the information is scrolling on my screen right now on Instagram. On YouTube. Why don't you go ahead and take a screenshot of that information and use it to register for the workshop. If you are on Facebook, okay, just check in the comments and you will see a link or information that you can use to register for our upcoming workshop. The Mastermind Circle new cohorts, we begin our new cohort in 5 days time. Yes, on the 3rd of September. You can still get your children to join us. Okay, we have done a lenient package for parents who are just joining now. So we will give you some time to complete your payments if you're just joining now. Okay, but you need to do that because as soon as our slots are full, we're going to shut down till 2024. And I promise you, the Mastermind Circle this year is something you don't want to miss. Okay, it's something you don't want to miss. I don't want you to come running and asking if your kids can join us at a time where we cannot admit them. This is the consolidation. This is where every child belongs to, every child needs to be. You have a child who is between 6 and 13 or 14, sorry. Let us do the work with you so that you can launch them into their teenage. Okay, we are doing this till 14 so that we can capture their early teens. Okay, we can capture their early teenage. So by the time we're done and they're 14, after they're 14, by the time they turn 15, you have a 15-year-old with you that your relationship with is amazing. You don't want to put yourself into that whole teenager parents wahala. You don't need it. Okay, so let's help you with your children now that they are young and they are preteens so that you can have a flawless, amazing, exciting parents teenager relationship. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic rest of the week. Oh, it's the beginning of the week, so have a fantastic week. Thank you. And this is me, Mary Beth, signing out.